Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkmanhomestead. My name is Krista. We are still in the Every Bit Counts challenge, and today I am going to get some stuff done. I have been really procrastinating with doing this one particular project. It just seems really not hard, but just, oh, you guys can't see me. No, there we go. Anyways, I have been procrastinating with this one project. I need to get it done because they are really starting to go bad and I really don't want to waste them. We're going to do an onion preservation project today. Normally with my onions, all as I do is I just chop them up and put them in the freezer. Even if my onions weren't all going bad, I would probably still do that because it's such a huge time saver. I am actually going to go and put an apron on first because I really don't want to stain my shirt. I'm starting to get there they are, a little bit of a collection of aprons. Goodwill is such a good spot to find aprons, and they are usually cheap because not a lot of people are looking for aprons. So I find the best ones. This one that I'm wearing right now, it is like a super heavy duty denim one. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And it has like a cross back to it so you can adjust it really easy. It's perfect for saving my shirts because I tend to get stains on everything. I'm also getting my hair put up because I cannot do any project with my hair down. I am not one of those people that, you know, can look glamorous when doing activities in their kitchen. I really just am messy hair up. My hair is so crazy right now too because of the humidity. It's like, it's got some volume. It's got the summer volume. So anyways, we're gonna get to using this big bowl of onions. I finally got to dealing with all of my onions outside in my garage, and I have them all inside. So I have them hanging from here. I got these bags from Dixondale, I want to say that's who it is, Dixondale Farms. That's where I order all of my onion starts from. And if you go on their website, they actually sell those bags as well. And I don't think I paid very much for them. I have my other onions over here, just in the bags. I unfortunately do not have a root cellar. I do not have a basement. My garage is insulated, but it is hot, really, really hot in there right now. And in the winter, it gets cold, which is good for onion storage. But we also have rodents that come in, so I really don't like to store my onions in there. I especially can't store them in there right now because it is too hot in there. But that is just my storage space. And that is usually why I end up having to process my onions and get them in the freezer, just because with our humidity, they just don't store very well for me here. And they don't cure very well either. That's why I have to process a lot of onions. So today's project, we are going to do a recipe that I did in the past, but not this particular recipe. The recipe I did in the past, I got online, and I don't think it was necessarily super canning safe. I'm not going to do that one again because I didn't feel comfortable with it. And when you're doing recipes not necessarily from a canning book, you really need to make sure that they're following the safe canning guidelines. It is okay to be a canning rebel, which is just somebody that goes off of the government recommended things. And that's fine to do that, as long as you're staying within the safe perimeters. And also, it's your own kitchen and you can do what you feel comfortable in your own kitchen. So we're gonna do a recipe from this book right here. This was actually a book, again, I'm being a spokesperson for thrift stores today. This is one that I actually picked up at the Goodwill outlet. I think I paid maybe 50 cents for it. Amazing. So this one is for a onion and maple conserve. It's kind of like an onion jam, which is what I made before. It was a maple onion jam, and I loved it. It wasn't what, in my opinion, it wasn't canning safe. So this recipe, we are going to follow it. Now, I am making a couple of modifications to this recipe, but they are safe modifications. And again, that's kind of, you can go off of the guidelines as long as they're within the safe perimeters. So this recipe recommends to use a sherry vinegar in it. I'm not going to use that. I'm actually going to use some balsamic vinegar instead. That's what I did in my other recipe. It is still a vinegar, so it still has the high acidity, which is what you need. You want to make sure that you're not fiddling with that at all. Balsamic vinegar is a safe swap in this recipe. And I'm also going to add some additional spices to this. There is none listed in here, and it is perfectly safe to add these ones in here. So we need to get to chopping. I hate this, and this is probably why I've honestly procrastinated with this project, because there's so many onions, so many burning eyes. I'm going to open a window when I do this, even though it is like 130 degrees outside. It's not 130. Let's go and see what it is. We're in another heat wave. I think today is actually supposed to be the last of it. It is just so brutal. It's hot. Let's see what we're at right now. It's actually not that bad today. So 93 is what the temperature is reading, but right here, the 108 is what the Humidex is reading. So that is like the feels like temperature, and we have 62% humidity out there. I mean, definitely not amazing, but it's not 130. So there's a positive. Where did that thought come from? Oh yeah, we're gonna open the window. We're gonna open the window to let some fresh air come in. In the past, I've worn my motorcycle helmet when chopping onions, and it's worked. But yeah, you can also get your onions cold, and apparently that also helps with the chopping. I'm gonna get a towel underneath here. I know some of you guys have suggested doing this. I normally do this. It's just that one particular time in that video, I did not have a towel under it. But this is an amazing way to keep your cutting board from slipping. It's putting a towel underneath it when you cut. It also reduces mess. And I normally do it. I just, for some reason in that one video, I didn't do it. Also, having a good sharp knife is handy. Forgot to tell you what my total onion weight was for this year. All the onions that I have in my bag, so this is not onions that I have put in the freezer. We have 70 pounds of onions. Good onion year. Last year, I think I maybe got 10 pounds of onions, so I'm super happy to not have to buy onions this year. And we don't eat a tremendous amount of them because Steven is not a super onion fan. He does like onion powder and like granulated onion, but he does not like the texture of onions. But lately, I've been able to sneak them in a lot of dishes, and he doesn't know. And I don't know why I'm whispering, because he is not home. And he doesn't watch my videos, so yeah, I sneak onions in food. I guess he should watch my videos if he wants to hear these little secrets. So I'm gonna move my plant stand out of the way. It's always in the way. It's a beautiful plant that I have hanging here in my window, and I love it. But because my kitchen is so small, I always set you guys down right here, and this just drapes right in front of it. Just tuck that up here. Oh, and also maybe put some lights on. So we're gonna double this recipe because it only calls for 2.5 pounds. Now it does say to use a sweet onion. So Walla Walla, Maui, or Videla. I'll leave it below. I'm not pronouncing it right. These ones are candy. So these are sweet onion. They're very similar to Walla Walla. I'm in zone 7AB, depending on the day, what zone we're in. But my onions I always get are intermediate day. We don't have super long days and we don't have super short days. When you buy your onion starts, you can actually go online and find out what territory you're in. Because I'm kind of in the middle of the country, we're considered an intermediate day. So again, our days aren't super long, they're not super short. So if you live up north, you're going to get a long day variety because you have longer days, so you need a variety that likes the long sunlight. If you live in the south, like far south, you're going to get a short day variety because those onions like to have shorter days, which is what you have in the south. So I'm intermediate. We kind of are in the middle. So I can get really any kind of onion, but they do have special intermediate day ones, and candy is one of them. These are a red one. I can't remember what variety they are. If I can find it, I will leave it. And then we also have some white ones that didn't do super well. You can see they're starting to already mold a little bit. So we're going to get these used. So I'm using a mix of all different types of onions. They're all sweet onions, so it's perfectly fine to use that in this recipe. Do we weigh them after we chop them? Let's see. Quartered. So let's weigh them after we get these skins off, because some of these onions are, actually this one feels really good. Why did I put it in here? Huh. Some of these onions have some soft spots on them, so let's weigh them after we get all of the nasty stuff cut off of them. Let me get my compost bin. Normally I save all of my onion scraps to use when I'm making like my stocks, my chicken stock, my beef stock, whatever type of stock you're doing. It's also really good to use as like a veggie broth. Normally I save all of my skins for that. I grow my stuff 100% organic, so I'm perfectly fine with using them in those. But some of these onions are not in the best shape. And like I said before, we have 70 pounds of onions. So if I need some onions for a stock, I'm just going to go to my 70 pounds. All right, I'm gonna get my big Lowe's bin for my compost. And then I also have a bowl here to put my good onions in. We'll just put our stuff in here. That's gonna go to the compost. And composting technically is not wasting it or throwing it out, because it's just going to make amazing soil for my next year's garden. So I don't feel bad about composting stuff. Yeah, you see some of them are starting to go bad in the middle. This is actually not bad at all. I don't know why I pulled this one out. But this one, on the other hand, you can see, not the best. So we just cut away all the bad parts. Onion is perfectly fine to use. Just cut the bad parts off. I think I've also been procrastinating doing this project because I don't know if you can tell, but I am not feeling the best. So my Every Bit Counts challenges lately have been just very bare minimum things. I think I might be dealing with allergies. I'm not sure, but my throat hurts. I just feel really tired and just feel yucky. Which is weird because I normally don't get sick in August. But just not feeling 100%, and so I've just not been wanting to do very big canning projects. And this one is kind of a big project. But we're going to get it done today because these onions are not going to last forever. And the more I procrastinate, the more food waste I'm going to get. I've said it in my other videos before, but preservation just cannot wait. It's something you cannot be procrastinating with. Onion juice in my eye. I'm going to try to use all of these onions, the yellow ones, before I use the red and white. We haven't even started chopping the onions, and I cannot even see right now. I've also heard that if you put a fan and kind of blow the onions scent away, it helps. I don't have a fan, so I'm just gonna keep stopping and wiping my eyes because they're burning. Look like this task is really making me emotional. Just burning. Oh my gosh, we haven't even really gotten started. This is definitely why I procrastinated with it. We'll leave these ones. I can do it, I can do it, I can get through it. And I've heard the fresher the onions, the stronger the scent. These are fresh. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up. Let me see. The cicadas are here. It is so loud out there. It is so loud at night, like right at dusk. That's when we have been doing a lot of our gardening chores, is at dusk, because that's the only time you can really breathe outside. And it is just so loud. I'm not complaining because I love it. It is the sound of summer, but man, they are active out there. Okay, so we've got all the skins off. I do have to rinse some of them off though, because they are kind of dirty. Now the recipe says to quarter the onions. So these are pretty big. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut them like this shape. So I'll quarter each half of them because again, these are pretty big onions. Dropped a whole bunch on the floor. I'm trying to get it done quick so that my eyes don't start burning again. It takes about 5 minutes to get my sight back. Now, I'm thinking as I'm cutting these onions, I don't want, maybe it's fine because they're going to cook down, but I'm thinking I would like onion slices like this, but whatever, I'm going to trust the recipe. It's the first time I'm making it, so we'll see. We're done the cutting. Get this rinsed off, clear my counter off for the next step. Actually, what I want to do before we move to the next step is I want to weigh these because I want to get an idea of how many pounds we're dealing with. This bowl is not going to be big enough. Okay, so let's get this clean bowl on here. Turn it on. But it's set on grams, so I need to get it on pounds. And it's zeroed out, so it's tared. Oops, this onion's not very good. Let's see. We have 6 pounds, 5.5 ounces. Because we have the 6 pounds, we're gonna be obviously over a little bit with this recipe. Oh my gosh, my hair. Okay, I'm gonna forget about my hair. We're just gonna deal with what it looks like. Because we have 6 pounds of onions, we're obviously a little bit over this recipe, a little bit over even doubling it. So we're just gonna go with it and just add a touch bit more of the other ingredients. Now the recipe does state to use an extra large skillet with a lid. I don't have a really big skillet with a lid, so we're gonna use a stock pot, which is gonna be fine. So we need to get some butter in this stock pot. Now, when I first was reading this recipe, I'm like, butter? I can't use butter in a canning recipe. It is not safe to can with butter. But this butter, it's all going to essentially disintegrate. It's not going to have any big fat chunks in it. We're just going to be using it to cook our onions. You want to caramelize your onions, and you're going to use the butter to do that. Shut the window because we're not cutting the onions anymore, and it is letting an extreme amount of heat in the house. I don't know why I just cut this, because I just said we're doubling the recipe. Single recipe is a 1/4 cup of butter or half a stick of butter. We're doubling it, so we're going to use half a cup of butter in here. We're going to get this turned on to a very, very low temperature because we're going to caramelize the onions. We don't want to burn them. We just want to do it very low and slow. That is like the key to getting a beautiful caramel onion, low and slow. If you have that heat too high, you're going to burn your onions, and burn is not the same thing as caramelized. I know this because I burn a lot of things. Okay, and we need to have this medium-high heat. I actually forgot something. We need to get some oil in here. So the recipe says a 1/4 cup of oil, so we'll add half a cup of oil. And it says to use olive oil. We're just going to use some avocado oil, which is fine. So we'll get that added in. I'm going to actually pause this for 1 second. We need to go outside and harvest some thyme. Forgot that this has thyme in it. So the recipe says to use some fresh thyme. If you don't have access to fresh thyme, you can definitely use dried thyme. Over here looking at this bush, this is a mess right now. This bush is oregano. Oregano is in the mint family. I am in here almost daily pulling it because you can see here, it's just wanting to go here. This is some sage, and this buried in here, right here, is my thyme, and that's lavender. Look at it starting to get flowers again. So beautiful out here. It's just hot. You can see my pepper plants over there are loaded. Need to get out here. And I actually see some red tomatoes, so I'll come out later and get those. Turkeys are all hiding right now. Oh, did their door shut again? Oh, their door keeps shutting on them. One of them keeps hitting the thing and it keeps shutting. I need to go and open their door for them. Turn this off first though. Not feeling like getting electrocuted. Turkeys, why do you keep closing your door? Realize they have no water. It is too hot for them not to have water. Glad their door was shut because otherwise I wouldn't have known. Here you go. Are you fine back there? Okay. All right. Got them some water. They actually do not really like to come out of that thing during the day because, as you can see right now at this particular time, there's not a lot of shade on the outside. It is completely shaded in there, so they have a lot of shade in there. They just don't like to come out during the day. We're actually going to be moving their fences tonight. Thinking we're either going to put them back here somewhere or back in the back pasture. We have an old strawberry patch back there that's pretty overgrown, so I'm thinking to get the turkeys in there and they can just kind of peck at, you know, some of the bugs that may be in there. What did we come out here? Thyme. We came out here for thyme. I have a new thyme bush here. This stuff looks a little bit more healthier, so we're gonna get some off here. We'll just cut a good bunch of it. That should be good. Get the grass out of here. Actually need to come out here and harvest this bush. This is pineapple sage and it needs to get harvested. My Tabasco plants are loaded. I don't really want to do a garden tour, but this is what happens every time I come outside. These are my Tabasco plants. I shared this on my Instagram. They really need water. We haven't had rain in I think about almost 2 weeks. So they are in desperate need of rain. I think we're supposed to get some tomorrow, but oh, did I get it? I don't know if you can see it. Don't want to move the camera too fast. It's a monarch butterfly. I hope it comes over here again. Anyways, these guys are loaded with peppers and I already have some red ones in here. All of them, and they're still putting off flowers. So this is a plant. There's another plant in there, and that's a plant that I started about a month after this one. So this one is just starting to produce. Sad, we missed the butterfly. I thought it was a bird at first. All of our milkweed in our pasture has all bloomed now. So we have so many monarch butterflies in the property and it is amazing. I wish I could zoom in. I can see at least 10 of them out there right now. They're just all over here. It's so amazing. I love seeing the monarchs. Okay, we're back inside. This is why it takes me hours and hours and hours to do projects because I get so very distracted, especially if I'm forced to go outside. It's just distraction. I need to wash my hands though because we were dealing with the turkeys. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but our butter is now melted. I'm gonna stir this a little bit. So we're gonna add our onions now. It calls for 2 teaspoons of a sea salt. I'm just using some Celtic salt, which is pretty much sea salt. So I'm gonna add 4 teaspoons in here. The salt will help extract some of the moisture from the onions. If ever you want to keep the moisture in your vegetables, always salt them after cooking because salt helps draw out some of the moisture. So that'll help us in this situation. So I'm just stirring these onions into the butter and the oil and just getting that salt everywhere. So it says to cook for about 5 minutes or until the onions start to soften. It is going to take us a lot longer than 5 minutes because we have a lot of onions in this pot. And it says to also stir frequently. And it says once that happens, so once the onions get soft, you're gonna reduce the heat to a medium low. I don't even have the burner on right now. Oh my heavens. Bring it back up to a medium high. I, for some reason, must have hit the thing and turned the heat off. So we'll wait for everything to come back up to temperature now. This is a water bath canning recipe, so I'm gonna get my jars put on the stovetop to get them warm. So I have my water bath canner in here. I'm just adding some 1/2 pint jars. Now this recipe recommends doing these in a 4-ounce jar. We're gonna do 1/2 pints, which is 8 ounces. So we're gonna adjust the processing time a little bit by 5 minutes. Usually, and do your own research, but usually when you up jars, you add 5 more minutes to the processing time. So this recipe actually stated to do this for 5 minutes. Now that's another thing also. Most canning recipes are a minimum of 10 minutes. That is the safe canning time for most recipes. So I already had it adjusted to 10 minutes anyways. So I'm gonna leave it at 10 minutes for these 1/2 pints. But like I said, the original recipe says 4-ounce jars for 5 minutes. But Do your own research. You could even do this in pints, in which case I would up that to 15 minutes. I'm just going to add a little bit more water in here. I'm going to get these warmed up now so that they can stay nice and warm while we're getting this made. The other thing I like about this water bath canner and using half pints is I can double stack. You can double stack when you are water bath canning. You just need to make sure that the water is at least an inch above your top layer of jars. So that's perfectly safe to do that. I've done that in this water bath canner before. Just have that inch of water. I think these onions are going to reduce down a lot, so I don't think we'll need to double stack. And I think next time I make this, I'm going to cut them in slivers instead of chunks like this. I'm just doing what the recipe's recommending. I guess I'm not totally doing what the recipe recommends because it says to do in 4-ounce jars, and I'm changing the type of vinegar and I'm adding extra spices. So I guess we are totally going off of it, but it's fine. This is another recipe that my daughter and her boyfriend love, and last year they ended up taking my last couple jars that I had of this. So I'm excited to be making a double batch. I think I'm gonna gift them some. So our onions are starting to get soft, so we're gonna add our thyme now. The recipe says 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme. I don't know whether I should just put the whole thing in. The problem with that is that we're gonna end up with like sticks in it when the thyme softens, but I guess we can pick them out if it's that bad. So it says 2 tablespoons of thyme. So we're just gonna add in 4 tablespoons. That should be good. A little thyme goes a long way. You don't need very much of it. So we'll add that much in. We need some pepper. So it says 1 teaspoon of pepper. So we'll put in 2 teaspoons. And we'll stir that. Now this is where I'm going a little bit off the recipe. Oh, there's a twig. So we'll take this twig out. We are gonna add some cardamom and some cinnamon to this. The original recipe that I used that I said I wasn't super confident with the safety of it, it did have the cardamom and the cinnamon in it, and it really added a beautiful taste to it. So we're gonna add that to this. And it pairs really well with the balsamic vinegar also. And it is perfectly safe to use these in here. We're gonna add about 2 teaspoons of the cardamom. And I'm doing this because again, we're doubling it. You normally wanna add about 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of it for a single recipe. And then we're also gonna add some cinnamon. This I'm probably gonna only add about 1 teaspoon in here. So about ½ teaspoon for a single recipe. Let's stir that. Oh, the cardamom smells amazing. Cardamom is like one of my favorite seasonings. I need to move up to my big pot spoon. That one was a little too small. So we're gonna turn the heat down to a low, like a medium low. And then we wanna cook this for about 12 more minutes. We're just trying to get those onions super soft and caramelized. I'm just gonna make sure that that temperature goes down a little bit because I don't want the onions to burn. Okay, let's cover it up and we'll set the timer for 12 minutes to start, and then after 12 minutes we'll come and just check. It does say to stir twice in between those 12 minutes. So we'll keep a close eye on it because again, we don't want to burn those onions. One thing we're going to get done while this is doing its boil down is we're going to get the next stuff ready to go in. We're going to get some maple syrup ready. This recipe calls for 1 cup of maple syrup. So we're going to use 2 cups. I'm just using this stuff from Sam's Club. So we'll do 2 cups. I think this is my 2-cup thing. Might have to go and get some more out of the pantry. Might work easier if I take this lid off also. Yeah, have to go and get a little bit more. Maple syrup is something that I make sure I never, ever run out of. Especially now that I'm not really eating normal sugar. I usually use honey or maple syrup, so I am going through a lot more of it. So I always keep a stockpile of maple syrup. Okay, so we'll set that one aside. And then, so the original recipe calls to use a 1/4 cup of sherry vinegar. We're not going to use that, so we're going to use some balsamic vinegar. So we're going to use ½ cup Again, I'm repeating this over and over because we're doubling the recipe. Oh, and I'm just using this stuff that I got from Azure Standard. It is very hot. Having the long spoon really helps. I think these guys need more than 5 minutes because they are not really translucent, and you really want the onion to be translucent. But you can see a lot of moisture is coming out of them. So I'm probably going to set the timer for maybe 10 more minutes. All right, this is what it's looking like. They look pretty tender. This still has a long way to cook with other ingredients in it, so we're gonna go to the next step. One thing I've also been doing as I've been stirring is I've been picking out all of the twigs from the thyme. I think this is like one of the last ones, so maybe not. There's one more in here, but I've been picking them out because, as you can see, they don't have any more leaves on them. So we're gonna put in our 1 cup of maple syrup. And then we are going to turn this up to a medium high, and we're going to leave it uncovered, and we're going to bring it to a boil. That syrup was kind of cold, so it'll probably take a little bit to bring it up to a boil. So we got it to the boil. We're going to reduce the heat to a medium so that it's at just a boil. We don't want it to be like a rolling boil, just a light boil. And then we are going to cook this uncovered for about 15 to 20 minutes. You want a lot of this. I'm getting distracted by the twigs. I knew putting that thyme in was going to be a mistake. Mind you, it's super easy to get them out, but just a lot of them. I didn't think I put that much thyme in there. So you want to cook it until, oh no, we're fogging up. Here we go. There we go. You want to cook it until this moisture is all evaporated. So what's going to happen is that maple syrup is going to get nice and thick, and all of that water is going to evaporate. So it says about 15 to 20 minutes. So we'll just kind of watch it and see. But you want to make sure that you are keeping it uncovered because the moisture will not evaporate if it is covered. You want it to go up and go into the air. And I'm just going to keep stirring it frequently because I do not want it to burn, especially now that we put that maple syrup in there. Okay, so it has been almost an hour and a lot of this has evaporated. You probably can't see because of the stain, but a lot of it's evaporated and it's definitely thickening up. So we finally get to move to the next step. Again, this took almost an hour for all of that stuff to evaporate. So I'm going to turn the heat off. We're going to take this off of the heat, and we are going to stir in our balsamic vinegar. I wanted to add something about the canning safety, about swapping out the vinegars. So this recipe calls to use a sherry vinegar. Most sherry vinegars are about a 6 to 7% acidity level. I checked my balsamic vinegar and it is a 6% acidity. So it is perfectly safe to use in this recipe. When you are doing anything canning that you are putting a vinegar in it, most of the recipes have been tested with that percentage of vinegar in it. So you want to stay at the same level. In order to safely can, you need to have at least 5% acidity. So if you are going to swap out the vinegar and use a balsamic like me, just double check with the company to see and make sure it is at least above 5%. It said most balsamics will come in around 6 to 7, but the particular one I'm using is actually a 6%. I did check with the company just to make sure of that before I did the swap. So we finally get to canning. I love canning and all, but when I'm not feeling at my best, like when I'm not feeling 100%, I just want to honestly sometimes just be done with the project and have it on my pantry shelf. That's how I'm feeling today, in full transparency. I'm not 100% in it. We're going to get our jars out of here. Hopefully we have enough jars. It thickened up pretty good. And you also want to make sure that your jars are hot that you're using because this mixture is very, very hot and you do not want to put it into a cool jar because it can break the jar. I have learned that lesson the very hard way a couple of times. You would think I would learn the first time. Oh, I also need to get my funnel. That's the other thing I'm missing. And my rings. Basket of rings. Get our funnel. And I also need to get a rag that I'm gonna get wet because we have to clean the tops of the jars because it's sticky. Oh, also I tasted this. I tasted it before I added the vinegar. Let's taste it now that we added the vinegar. It was amazing, amazing. Okay, let's just try a little tiny bit. This stuff, you have to try it. It is so good, so good. This would taste so delicious on top of chicken after it has been barbecued or cooked. So good. Also, it would be delicious again with the cream cheese, kind of like I do the pepper jelly. This is amazing. This is actually way better than the original recipe that I had made. I'm going to leave that cookbook linked for you guys in the video description. It's really good. I actually have done quite a bit of recipes out of that cookbook, and they are all really, really good. All right, so we're going to get these ladled into the jars. What is our headspace? And we're going to leave a 1/4 inch headspace. I don't think we're going to need all of these jars. It also does thicken up as it cools. So if it looks really runny right now, it will thicken up as it cools. At least that's what it did with the other one. So we have a little bit left in here that's not going to fill a jar. So I'm just going to put it in here, and then I will put it in my fridge, and then I will get to enjoy some. Okay, and let's do a quick little debubble on these. Make sure there's no air bubbles in there. And then adjust the headspace if need be. This one I think I actually need to add a little bit more to. Okay, now let's clean the tops. Really, really good because they are very sticky. And then we're going to get our lids on. Get our rings on to fingertip tight. So now we're going to bring those up to a full rolling boil. Once they get to that full boil, we're going to start the timer for 10 minutes. Again, do your research if you're going to do pints with these. So we doubled the recipe and we only got, what, 6, 7 half pints out of doubling it. So you can see how much those onions reduce down. So if you're wanting to double it, that's approximately what you're going to get from it. I am thinking, because I have so many onions and this recipe is amazing. So glad I tried it. It is so good. Anyways, I'm thinking that I'm going to probably end up making another batch of this because I can see my daughter taking way more than a couple half pints. So yeah, I might give my mom some also because I think she would enjoy that as well. So that is it for that canning project. We're going to let those guys boil for 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, we're going to take the lid off, remove it from the heat, let those jars kind of cool down in that water bath canner for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then after that, we'll take them and set them on that table on a towel and let them just chill out for 12 to 24 hours. After that time, I like to wash the jars because sometimes you can get stuff sticky on them and you don't want to store a dirty jar in your pantry. It can encourage pests and stuff like that. So I always like to wash my jars, ensure that they are good and sealed. So I do little tests with them. I'll show you one way I actually test them. So this is a jar that's been sealed for a while. This is actually a cranberry jalapeno jar that I only have one left of, so I need to make more. Anyways, so this is the jar. What you want to do, obviously test, make sure that you're not hearing a popping sound. If it pops, like if you can push it in and out, it's not sealed. Another thing I like to do is just take the jar and grab it by the edge. So I'm just holding that lid and give it a good little shake. and I can see that that's good and sealed. So I like to test them like that when I'm washing them. And then once I get them all washed, then I bring them and put them on my pantry shelf. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, I would strongly recommend trying this recipe. If you like onions with a little bit of a sweet taste to it, this recipe is amazing. Highly recommend it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.